Aye, boom. Today we're going to be making a beat in the style of NLE CHOPPA and Russ Million's latest song, Shake It. If you haven't heard it, it goes a bit like this.
Hey, hey, I bet I shake, 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 shake. Come on, I bet I shake the room.
NLE CHOPPA started actually doing a few Jersey drill kind of songs. So I'm going to show you pretty much exactly how to make them. Before we get into that, man, make sure you hit the like button for me, man. It does tell YouTube that other producers should be watching this content. And if you're new around here, hit the subscribe button for new content every Wednesday and Sunday. And also this FLP will be available over on my Patreon in the link in the description if you want to go have a look at the project in closer detail. So yeah, let's just get into this. So let's take a listen to the actual melody of the NLE song real quick. So if you didn't know that this loop actually came from a YouTube sample kit, but you can quite clearly hear that this is just kind of some vocal sample that's been like pitched and chopped around. And to be honest, to my ears, it doesn't sound like it's English. I feel like it could be some kind of maybe like Bollywood, Indian kind of sample. But that being said, it could also be reversed. But to be honest, I feel like it's like reversed and in a foreign language. So we're gonna go try find some kind of Bollywood sample. And to do this, literally, you just kind of want to type in Bollywood samples. Bare like playlists coming up with samples. Now, for me, I'm gonna use this one right here. It's literally just some vocals on its own. So I'm literally just gonna kind of click through the sample and see if I can find something that I kind of like. Drop this one. Ooh, I like that one. Alright, so these are the three chops that I've kind of found in the sample. This is nothing, like I have nothing right here, but you kind of just have to trust the process a bit. So we're going to stretch this to 1 bar. Alright, so this first one's a little bit out of tempo, so what we're going to do, we're going to make it unique. We're going to stretch it so it's kind of more on beat. And what you can also do here is chop before. You want to make sure that everything's turned to generic as well, so it just kind of stops all the clicking in the samples. To be honest, this is probably one of the most tedious things you can do as a producer, especially if you're trying to get a melody to sound exactly the same as like another like chopped sample melody, because obviously your sample's not going to sound the same as another sample, and it can be frustrating, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I've spent hours trying to find the right sample, and still after like 3 hours I'm still sitting there with nothing. If this happens to you, don't get frustrated. Know that it does happen to everyone, but sometimes you just have to hit the jackpot and find some insanely crazy sample. So in terms of the mix on this, you just want to throw a little bit of reverb onto it. I'm also applying some Gulfos, which basically just like soothes and smooths out the vocal a little bit. In the NLE CHOPPA song, there is also a faint piano in the background, so we are also going to add a piano. And I feel like we're just going to try play a piano chord for each chop of the vocal. Maybe push that down a little bit. I think I'll pitch that up to D sharp, and then maybe on the last note we'll play it as D. Let me get rid of the A sharp actually. I think that's sounding pretty decent. Alright, just added some reverb and some EQ into the piano. And what I want to do now is I'm going to make chops on every chord, just so it kind of messes with the attack of the piano itself. So it kind of sounds like it's sampled with the actual vocals. Alright, next, I feel like I hear like a little sustained string in the background. We're going to come into Strings of Winter and we're just going to take a violin. Turn it down a little bit. So now we've got our melody sounding something like this. Sounding alright. Like I said, if you spend longer, you can find the perfect sample for yourself. The NLE song actually starts with a Jersey kick, so we're going to do the exact same thing. And to do this, all you need to do is literally this kick pattern right here. Highlight it, press Control and B, repeat it all the way until maybe there. And then what we're also going to do on the intro, we're going to turn our sample to Stretch Pro. We're going to turn it down. We're going to form into 300 cents. After this Jersey part though, there is a drum fill, so we do need a drum fill. be using some big, heavy counter snares for these type of beats. And the secret to making it nice and bouncy is just using lots of different counter snares, but making sure they all still kind of complement each other. And now we can kind of fill in all this space between these counter snares with other counter snares, and that's how you kind of create the bounce. And then you can also just start messing with some of the velocities. Next, you kind of want to use either a clap or some kind of like clap snare. Just gonna layer them on that. Repeat these. But what I like to do is I like to layer my snare on each red snare. And because this is a RUSS beat, we're also going to add in a RUSS Vox. Alright, I kind of want the bounce a little bit nicer towards the end of the 8th bar and towards the end of the 4th. Alright, I think it's time we get an 808 down so we can kind of feel out the beat a little bit more. We're using Cam's 808, it's from the Aries multi-kit, and we're in G minor. Thing is with 808s and these type of beats, they tend to just follow the root note. You don't really do anything too crazy with them. You really want to make sure your kicks are punching on this as well. They aren't actually hitting quite like I want them to. Combat this, I actually paste in one of my perks on top of the kick. I think it makes it just a little bit harder. Alright, let's clone this pattern over a little bit and make it unique. Let's make like a different 808 pattern. I've a bit of a gap here. Actually, let me get, let's try a different 808. Now, what do we want to put? Also put... The thing is with these beats, arrangement is very important because the beats themselves are very simple and things are very repetitive. So it's important to make sure that constantly either new sounds being added in or kind of like new gross beat effects and stuff like that. You always hear like vinyl off, vinyl on, stutters, things like that. We've added in a couple of automations. Just so it's kind of keeping the beat a little bit fresh. For the Jersey section, I'm pretty sure they begin to start throwing in some counter snares. You can play with the arrangement a little bit more by maybe making certain chops in the melodies. But if you take all these principles that I have just shown in this video, you'll end up with something extremely similar to the NLE song Shake It. Just go through and play it very quickly from the beginning. Make sure you press the like button for me and also make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll be bringing some very fresh content to the channel very soon. I'm excited for it. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're not missing any uploads. Run me up on Instagram and Twitch, man, because they're doing YouTube things to care about. I'm out. Good luck. See you later. Bow.